I got this doll at a yard sale. It caught my eye as I was driving past. It was sitting on a chair with a piece of paper taped to its chest that said, "Haunted. Take it. It's free." I found it funny and asked the owner why she thought it was haunted. She told me she bought it at a thrift store after her daughter begged her for it. On the drive home, her daughter gave it the name Violet. The next day, she heard another girl's voice arguing with her daughter in the living room. When she went to check, her daughter was sitting on the couch, watching TV, with Violet beside her. She asked who she was talking to, and her daughter said, "Violet." A week later, while her daughter was at a friend's house, she began hearing a girl's voice coming from the bedroom. When she checked, Violet was sitting in the middle of the room. She picked the doll up, placed her on the bed, and walked away. As she walked toward the kitchen, she saw the magnetized letters on her refrigerator spell out, "Hi." Then, a music box in the living room started to play, and the door to her daughter's room slammed shut. She grabbed her keys and left the house immediately, waiting outside until her husband returned. When they opened the door, they found Violet sitting on the coffee table in front of one of her daughter's coloring books. As her husband stepped inside, the pages of the book began flipping violently until the book flew across the room. After that, he grabbed Violet and threw her in the shed, where she stayed until the morning of the yard sale. She looked me in the eye and said, "Take it. We don't want it in our lives anymore." I was sold. I was skeptical, but I loved the story, and it was free. I brought it home and placed it on the nightstand next to my bed. Nearly a month went by with no strange activity until one night I felt someone sit at the foot of my bed. I turned the lights on, but no one was there. I live alone and have no pets, so I was startled. A couple of days later, I was in the kitchen making a sandwich when I heard a disembodied girl's voice whisper, "Hey," right over my shoulder. I ran to the corner of the living room, grabbing my chest because it felt like my heart was going to explode. Later that night, I was lying on the couch when I heard giggling coming from my bedroom. I got up, walked in, and saw Violet sitting on my bed. I always kept her on the nightstand, yet there she was. At that point, I started to believe the woman's story. I bought an EMF detector. I've seen them used in ghost hunting shows, and when I held it near Violet, I got constant high readings. Intrigued, I ordered a spirit box to try to communicate with her. After 2 weeks of nothing but static, I finally got a "hi" followed by "get the thing." I was excited, so I went back to the previous owner and told her everything. I asked if Violet might have been attached to something else. She suggested it might be the music box, and she gave it to me. After a week of intermittent spirit box sessions, I finally heard a girl's laugh, followed by something chilling, a man's voice saying, "Devil." Immediately, I thought of the theory that demons disguise themselves as little girls to lure people in. I wasn't willing to take that risk. I threw Violet outside into the backyard, and she landed face first. The next morning, I decided to take her to a storage unit, but when I opened the back door, she was sitting a few feet closer to the house, upright, staring back at me. I grabbed her and put her into storage. It's been 2 weeks, and the activity has stopped, but I can't stop thinking about Violet. I keep feeling this urge to go back, open the storage unit, and do another spirit box session. My gut tells me not to, because I might be messing with something evil, and I don't want to risk an attachment. So for now, I'm going to trust my gut and leave her in there. Back in 2017, I was 14 when my family went to Florida for a 3-week vacation. Beaches, pools, restaurants, local food. The kind of trip I'll probably never experience again. One evening, I was on YouTube watching a video by Squeezy, my favorite creator at the time. In it, he was telling the famous story of Robert the doll. The The story goes back to the early 1900s when an African maid working for the Otto family, a wealthy Floridian household, gave their son Robert a doll. The boy loved the doll so much, he started calling himself Eugene so the doll could have the name Robert. Strange things began to happen. The maid was rumored to have practiced voodoo and cursed the doll. Guests claimed the doll tried to strangle them. Eugene's parents found burn marks and bruises on him. He would talk to the doll in his own voice and respond in a hoarse, inhuman voice that terrified everyone. Eventually, Eugene died, alone with the doll. At the end of the video, Squeezy revealed that Robert was on display in Key West, Florida. Curious, I looked it up, and it was true. I told my parents, and it turned out we were planning to pass through Key West during our last 3 days. So it was settled. I would meet Robert the doll. Key West is the southernmost city in the U.S., isolated and surrounded by ocean. The local folklore is strong. Robert did it is a common saying among children to explain strange accidents. When the day came, we drove to the museum, which was housed in a dilapidated old fort, weathered by sea and time. As we entered, we met a red-haired woman at the reception. We asked about Robert. She explained that to photograph him, you must first ask his permission and wait for a response. A glint in his eyes supposedly means yes. She warned us that people often disrespect Robert and later send apology letters. She even showed us a video of someone banging on Robert's glass. He died in a car crash later that day. I asked if I could speak to Robert in French. She smiled and said, "Try it, you'll be the first." We toured the museum, full of old cannons, military uniforms, and dusty weapons. Eventually, we turned a hallway, and there he was. Robert, the infamous century-old doll that inspired Chucky and Annabelle. He sat in a glass case, surrounded by letters from all over the world, Mexico, Germany, Qatar, all begging him to lift whatever curse they believed he placed on them. I gathered my courage and said, in French, "Hello, Robert. I'm from France and would be delighted to take your picture. May I?" Then I took the photo and proudly sent it to my friends on Snapchat. The next day, as we prepared to return to France, we skipped breakfast and packed. Around 11 a.m., we stopped at a Wendy's for food. We ate, paid, and walked back to our car, only to find every window shattered, except for the front one. There was glass inside and outside the car, meaning the windows exploded from within. Yet nothing had been stolen. My headphones were still on the back seat. We weren't robbed, the windows just blew out, as if Robert did it. My niece got a doll last year as a gift from a family member who doesn't have the best reputation. They've tried using witchcraft on our family before, though I'm skeptical of such things. Still, family is family. So my sister accepted the gift and brought the doll home. Everything had been normal before that. My room is next to the living room, while the other bedrooms are further down the hallway. I only come home for the holidays and had been there about a week. Nothing unusual, but the night we brought the doll in, everything changed. It was quiet that night, the day after New Year's. Everyone was sleeping, and I was on my laptop chatting with friends when I heard footsteps outside my room. They were heavy, like boots. The steps moved from the hallway, through the living room, and into the kitchen. Then I heard the kitchen faucet running and the sound of dishes being washed. It was 1:15 a.m. Odd, but maybe someone was washing baby bottles. Then I heard something being dragged. It was my niece's PlayStation, which makes a very distinct sound. The dragging continued for about 10 minutes. I texted my sister, but she didn't respond. My dog, who's usually calm, barked at me when I tried to open the door, so I stayed in my room. At 1:43 a.m., the sounds just stopped. The next morning, my sister called and asked me to come out. My mom, sister, and her husband were all in the hallway. She asked if I'd moved the stroller in front of her bedroom door or dragged the PlayStation. I said no and told them everything. Turns out, she found the stroller moved that morning, put it back, and went to get baby bottles. When her husband came out later, the stroller was back in front of the door. He assumed she moved it again, until they read my messages and realized something wasn't right. I picked up the doll. It was still in the gift bag, and noticed a horrible smell, like dried saliva. It hadn't been there the night before. My sister's husband was so creeped out he threw the doll away. That night, everything went back to normal. We bought 2 porcelain dolls at a yard sale, both missing the same leg on the same side. We laughed about it with the sellers, joking that they were probably haunted. For $5, we brought them home. Immediately, things got weird. As soon as we got in the car, the sunny sky turned to hail. Real hail, despite the sun still shining. Yard sale plans canceled. We went to lunch. An hour later, we visited another yard sale just a block away. Everything there was dry, untouched. I asked the woman running it how she avoided the hailstorm. She looked confused. She said there had been no hail. That night, my fiancé had a nightmare. The smaller doll told him to kill me. He woke up in a panic, thinking he had hurt me. I posted a photo of the dolls in a paranormal Facebook group. Immediately, people recognized the smaller one. One friend's mom insisted on seeing it in person before a paranormal team could come. When she picked it up, she set it down right away. Too intense, she said. I picked it up next. I felt a strange sensation rise from my feet to my neck. I began choking and sobbing uncontrollably. They shouted at me to put it down, and the feeling vanished. We ran outside. 5 crows landed behind us, screeching like they were ready to attack. My friend and her mom left immediately. Later, the paranormal team arrived. The energy was thick. A white grounding stone turned hot in one investigator's hand. The neighbor's dog howled nonstop. They rated the apartment's energy at 3.5 out of 10, but it felt like chaos. I'm just glad I had witnesses. For those who don't know, I bought 2 dolls, one suspected to be haunted, from a fellow Redditor. I got them about 20 to 30 days ago and placed them on top of the fridge. The previous owner said he didn't know which one was haunted. They both came from Goodwill. I'm a skeptic, so I just wanted to see if anything weird would happen. Nothing happened until today. I came home from work, started changing, and my husband called me into the kitchen. He didn't say why. When I walked in, he was staring at the dolls. The Russian doll had turned to the side. He asked if I moved her. I hadn't, neither had he. You might think maybe the fridge door bumped her? Nope. The other doll, the Wimbledon one, hadn't moved at all. Both were securely on their bases. He repositioned the Russian doll. Not even 10 minutes later, our fire alarm went off. We've lived here since January, and the alarm has never made a sound. Now it was yelling, "Evacuate, smoke in the family room." There was no smoke. No one was cooking, vaping, or showering. We checked the alarm. No spiders either. It went off again twice but has been quiet since. And now that I think about it, I haven't been able to sleep since I got the dolls. I don't fall asleep until 4 a.m. I've had nightmares, like one where my mom gets mauled by a bear. My husband says I've seemed more irritable too. None of this happened before the dolls.